Alright, you guys ready?
Ready?
You guys got your notes out? Henry, Simon, binder of paper. Make sure you're taking notes. Okay, so we're talking about the 5 principles of functional movement. We've already kind of covered these a little bit in the last couple of weeks, especially going over the unit that we're going over. But I'm going to speak to you on 5 principles of functional movement. Who can kind of give me a quick definition of what they think functional movement is? Yeah, Werther.
Functional movement is just like exercise your muscle.
Yeah.
How, like movements, how breathing your body.
Good. Okay. So remember, we talked about functional movement as movement in your everyday life. Okay. So whether I'm carrying groceries into my house, or I'm putting those groceries up onto the counter and then putting them high up into a cupboard, if I'm closing and opening a door, if I'm sitting down in a chair and standing back up, all of that is functional movement. So we're talking about the 5 principles of that functional movement. Okay? The first one is mobility. Go ahead and write that down on your paper. Mobility. Who knows what mobility is? Can anyone define mobility, being mobile? It's a pretty simple definition. You guys can scoot up because you're in the sun. Okay, so mobility. Okay, mobility. Mobility is the action of moving, being able to move. Okay, and so the specific definition is the ability to move physically. Go ahead and write that down. Mobility, the ability to move physically. Okay, so that's the first characteristic of functional movement, or the first principle. Okay, the second principle is strength. You guys know what strength means. What does strength mean? Someone raise their hand and answer that. Yeah.
Like how much you can lift or something?
Yeah. Yeah. So the official definition is the state, property, or quality of being what? Strong. Good. Werther, the quality of being strong. Okay. So you guys know strength as basically being able to pick up or move heavy things. Okay. You need strength in order to do that. Okay. So that's strength. So that's the second principle of functional movement. The third principle is capacity. Capacity. Who knows what capacity means? Anybody know what capacity means? Okay, so capacity means, basically capacity means how much. Okay, how much. So yesterday we were talking about muscle endurance. Okay, having great muscular endurance means that you can run for long periods of time. If you have great muscular endurance, then your capacity is large. Okay, and so you can have capacity in strength. Okay, in how many push-ups you can do. We talked about that yesterday. How long you can run. Okay, so that's capacity. It's how much. The official definition, you guys can write this down, is the ability to receive, hold, or absorb. The ability to receive, hold, or absorb. Okay, so capacity. The fourth principle of functional movement is balance. Good, you guys know what balance is, right? What's balance, Henry?
Balance means
Balancing two things.
stable.
Right? Being stable. Good. Good. Am I balancing right now?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's balance, right? Okay? So it's basically two forces of equal nature. The official definition is a state of equilibrium or parity characterized by cancellation of all forces by equal opposing forces. You don't need to write that whole thing down. Let me give it to you more simply. Okay? Here, write this down. Equal opposing forces. Equal opposing forces. And that's balance. Okay? Equal opposing forces. Alright, and then the fifth principle is coordination. Who knows what coordination means? Coordination. Let me give you guys the definition. Harmonious functioning of muscles or groups of muscles in the execution of movements. Okay? One of the best examples of coordination is what? Juggling. Juggling. Okay, so you see people juggle. Coach O is going to try to juggle right now. You guys ready? I don't know how to juggle, but I'm going to try to. Yeah, I can't do it. Who knows how to juggle? Anyone know how to juggle? You know how to juggle, Cameron? Okay, so juggling is the coordination. Here, I can juggle two things. Is the coordination of balancing two things. Okay, so that's the fifth principle of functional movement. Okay, now what we're going to do, and we did this last week with some other movements, we're going to talk about how you can use these principles in everyday life. Okay, so we'll start from the top. The first principle that you guys wrote down is what? Mobility. Okay? How do you use mobility in, or what does mobility look like in your everyday life? Give me some movements. Maybe an example of you doing something specific.
Walking.
What's that?
Walking.
Walking. Okay, yeah, you need to be, you need to have mobility just in order to walk. What else?
Walking upstairs.
Walking upstairs, you got to kind of lift your knees up a little higher. Move the posterior chain a little bit more that we talked about. What else? One more. What about if you're looking this way and someone calls your name over there, but you keep your feet here, and what do? Do you look over there? Yeah, you twist and turn. Is that being mobile?
Yes.
Yeah, that's being mobile. Okay, so any sort of movement where you move physically. The second principle is strength. Okay, give me an example of strength. Raise your hand. Give me an example of strength. What do you think, Werther? You got one.
Carrying backpack.
Carrying a backpack. Perfect. A lot of you guys don't even use your lockers, huh? You guys just carry all your bags and your books in your locker. I mean, in your backpack.
How about this?
Whoa.
Henry is showing some strength. There we go. All right. What is that? The 60, 80 pounders? Okay. Gabrielle, what do you think? An example of strength. Carrying groceries. I already gave that. That's cheating, but I'll accept it. Okay. A couple demonstrations of strength that I wrote down. Picking up something heavy from the ground. Henry just did that. Lifting heavy weights in the weight room. Henry just did that. And squatting. I put squat movement, which we're going to do in a little bit. Okay, so squatting is when you put a barbell on your back and you squat all the way down and then you come back up. That's an example of our second principle of strength. Okay, the third principle is what? Starts with a C. Capacity. Okay, so how much? How much? Give me some examples of capacity in everyday functional movement. Walking from one class period to another. Some people get tired, some people don't. All right? If you have a bunch of books in your backpack, and you have to walk up the stairs, some of you guys might be tired. Okay? But if you have a high capacity, you won't be as tired. Give me another example. What do you think, Brooke? Capacity.
Running a mile.
Running 1 mile. What would be more capacity than running 1 mile?
Running 2 miles.
Running 2 miles. What would be more capacity than running 2 miles?
3
Running 3 miles. Okay. Now, what if I said, okay, you cannot run more than 3 miles? What would be an example of more capacity within 3 miles? How fast you can run it. Okay? So if Henry can run a 3 miles in 15 minutes, and Leo, it takes him 33 minutes, that's probably pretty accurate, huh? Okay, so Henry has a way better capacity. Huh? Okay? Leo, you got to work on your 3 mile run. Okay? You got to work on your 3 mile run. Okay. Okay, the fourth principle is what?
Balance.
Balance. Give me some examples of balance.
Walking.
Walking, you need balance in walking, or else you would what? Fall over.
Yeah.
What else?
Just stand there.
Just standing. Yep. What about a soccer player? Do they need balance? Yeah. They need balance, or else they wouldn't be able to run and move and be agile. When I hold my baby and I feed her bottle, do I need balance?
Yeah.
Yeah, or else I would drop my baby, huh? Not good. An example of balance. Someone comes up from the side of you and they accidentally bump into you. Okay? And either you're going to fall over or you're not going to fall completely over. If you have good balance, you can maybe keep your feet under you and you're not going to fall over. Think about walking. Have you guys seen Indiana Jones?
Yes.
What does he do in that movie at one point? He walks on a bridge, right? What did you say? On a train, and he walks and he's on a train. Okay, so if you want to remember what balance is, remember Indiana Jones on a bridge or on a train. Okay, you guys know who Indiana Jones is? You guys been to Disneyland? There's an Indiana Jones ride. Okay. All right, and then the fifth example that you guys should be able to give me in everyday functional movement, coordination. Give me an example of coordination.
The way you walk.
When you walk?
Yeah.
That's your example for everything, huh? Walking. So you need coordination in walking. That's true. Give me a more in-depth example. What if you're, go ahead.
Oh, I thought you were still in the
What if you're walking down the hallway and your friend is in front of you and he borrowed a pen and he throws it at you. And you're walking and there's something flying at your face. If you have coordination, then you're going to do what? You're either going to avoid it, okay, or catch it. That's what I would try to do. If you don't have coordination, you're going to do what? Yeah, it's just gonna hit you. Okay, you don't have. That's actually hand-eye coordination if you try to catch it. But okay, so that's coordination. With coordination, a couple examples that I came up with: juggling tennis balls. Okay, I tried to do that with the markers. Catching something that is coming at you. I just gave that example. Throwing something up and down in your hand. So coordination can also just be one thing. Okay, up and down, up and down. Since I can do that, that is an example of coordination. And now I can do it while I walk around in circles. Okay? That's coordination. All right? Okay. All right, we're going to take a quick break. You can go ahead and turn that off for a second.